The Fantasy Couriers are proud to be sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. There are games for everyone and in many sports. But right now, it's best ball season. You can draft all year long. The season never ends. You can participate in a slow draft with an 8-hour clock or a fast draft with a 2-minute clock. Stay tuned for some exclusive Fantasy Couriers best ball games during the offseason.
Yeah, so currently the biggest football game in town is Best Ball Mania 4. For those of you that don't know, Best Ball Mania 4 is a big best ball fantasy football tournament for the year. Last year, number 3 was the biggest tournament of all time. 500,000 entrants. That's a lot of. That's a big fantasy pool right there. Prize pool of $10 million. That's a lot of money. So Best Ball Mania 4 will be with a total prize of $15 million.
So sign up now for Underdog with the fantasy code Couriers, and they will double your first deposit up to $100 cash. In case you missed that, when you make your first deposit of $10 or more, I didn't mention that before, but $10 or more, up to $100, you get $100 in free credit. Plus, I'll throw in a Fantasy Courier sticker. You sign up, I will email you Fantasy Courier swag. Oh, we got stickers now. Working on some t-shirts. You email me, I'll mail it to you. People that joined before, join one of these contests, and I'll send you a sticker as well.
$100 and a free sticker. Can't go wrong. So join Underdog today, and don't forget to use the code Couriers. A link is in the notes of the podcast. Now, on to the podcast. What is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dub. And with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Well, JJ Wang, it appears as though today the Fantasy Couriers is sponsored by Adidas, both of us sporting our black Adidas hats. You know, wrong sport, but you know they got some fingers in football.
With my daughter being a giant soccer star, I figured Adidas would be the way to go with her sports contract. So,
yeah, that's part of it. I like the black hat and the simplicity of my hat. Those of you that are listening to us on the podcast, now you got to check out the YouTube channel to see black hats with Adidas logos. They're really fancy, you know.
I typically don't wear hats, but I bought this for when I referee soccer. Be able to keep that sun out of my eyes, the hair out of my face, and everything like that. But typically don't wear a hat.
I've worn more recently because I'm in the middle of hair growth phase because the hair is all over the place right now.
You ain't got to tell me, dude. I'm fully aware of that situation.
Middle and stage, like I'm in that middle. It's that curly, weird stuff. So we have a hodgepodge of topics today for everybody. We are sorry we're a little late. If you tried to listen to us on Sunday, we just were traveling for the weekend, but we're up. We're recording actually on Memorial Day. It's a day that just takes a moment to remember people who sacrificed for our countries. It's a day I think a lot of people miss. It's a pretty serious, intense day, and a pretty awesome day that we owe everything to, right?
Yeah, I don't think people miss it for
purposefully.
People don't miss it. I mean, they expect I don't know what to say. They're waiting for Memorial Day to come for the start of summer, right? That's what they think Memorial Day is.
The reasoning.
Hot dogs and hamburgers. I mean, it's kind of like Memorial Day and Veterans Day. The beginning of summer, end of summer. Yeah, I guess Memorial Day is for like the people that have died in the wars. I would kind of forget about that, but appreciate everybody that's died in the war for us. It's terrible, but yeah, it's a good day.
Yeah. So that's our serious moment of the day, sponsored by the Fantasy Couriers. Thank you for those who sacrificed. And now on to football. So JJ Wang, I did something, and I don't know if it was stupid or not. And it comes down to the first little couple questions I have for you. Trading. Are you willing, if you have a team that's a contender, are you willing to stretch a trade to get your team to that next contendership?
Well, I mean, it depends on how far you stretch it. I mean, if you stretch it to where you're injuring your next contendership, then I wouldn't stretch it that far. But I mean, if you've been in the championship contention for 2 years, 3 years, that window is probably about to close. So you should probably make as many trades or whatever you can to fix your team before that window closes.
So here's my trade that I want to start with. In my regulators league, I have a team that's pretty stacked. I'll go over them at some point later on, but everything is set except for tight end. It's tight end premium, and I stuck with like Komet. I think that's pretty much it. I think I got Chig in there, but I just got Mark Andrews. Basically the next coming of Travis Kelce for the next 8 years or so. I gave up Cole Kmet, Josh Palmer, a 2024 and a 2025 first, and a 26 third. So 2 firsts and Cole Kmet
I mean,
for
if you think it's going to help you win a championship, I mean, obviously Mark Andrews is better than Cole Kmet. Maybe Cole Kmet had a bomb year last year. You just better hope Cole Kmet doesn't fully explode and Mark Andrews just remains exploding.
well
But like you
this
said, you had to make a move. You got to trying to win a title. I mean, Mark Andrews is going to win your championship this year.
yeah, and it gave me Trevor Lawrence, Pat Mahomes, Najee Harris, Bijan, AJ Brown, Drake London, Chris Godwin, Mark Andrews, Cam Akers, Jahmyr Gibbs are my starting lineup.
Yeah, I mean, shouldn't have any issues winning.
Yeah, that was the hope, taking it from worst to first. So I got 2 questions that were posted to us on Facebook from Jared. He wants to know, what would an appropriate offer for Josh Allen in a 1 quarterback league be?
Oh, one quarterback. That's tough. I don't play a lot of one quarterback leagues, so I'm not really sure. Um, I would have to have a quarterback in return. Well, man, not necessarily, because if it's a one quarterback league,
Get some guy off waivers.
yeah, I mean that's a tough. Like I said, I don't have a lot of knowledge of one quarterback, but I mean, I would say at least start out with at least give me 2 firsts to start and a player, maybe. I'm not really sure. What do you play more one QB leagues than I do?
I'm in a couple 1 QB leagues, and I got him years ago because we're still trying. In one,
Well,
so
when you say years ago, Josh Allen's only been playing for like
well,
4
I got
years.
him 2 years ago.
So.
So I got him 2 years ago, right as he was right in the ascension, and it's hard for us to end 1 quarterback leagues because we either gauge quarterbacks too high or gauge quarterbacks too low, because we know in Superflex quarterback is king. You got to have multiple quarterbacks. You got to have them popping around. But in the 1 quarterback league, it's almost case to case, and I think with Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, John and Burrow, probably those 4 guys you can ask the ranch for, because when you're in 1 quarterback leagues and you get that young stud quarterback, you have nothing else to worry about. I had Drew Brees for a decade. I never carried another quarterback on that team. I would pick up some dude off waivers for the week because Drew Brees never got hurt. Or like right now, I have Josh Allen, but my backup is I got Kyler for peanuts because nobody likes him anymore. And then Matt Stafford
A good
off.
reason why.
Yeah, and I got Matt Stafford off waiver, so I've got some warm body for that. So Josh, I mean, I would do at least a first and probably a skill position player, but it had to be a good first. Like I wouldn't give, and it might even I would. I mean, if you got Josh Allen and you're not contending, get some players that you can build with. Maybe some young receivers, maybe not even a pick because you never know what the pick can be, but a receiver you can build
I
with.
mean, if you're rebuilding, I mean, I don't even know why you'd get rid of Josh Allen. I mean,
Yeah, because then it's one piece you don't have to worry about.
yeah, so, I mean, you've already got the most important. Well, I don't want to say most important, but I mean, you got an elite quarterback. I would just leave that alone. But like I said, I mean, it's fantasy. I mean, people want to make trades, and sometimes they'll trade the big guys, but that's a tough trade to make, man.
It is. I like your point there for people to think about. If you are rebuilding, if you got a quarterback and you're set, why? Like I tossed him out just for poops and grins in one of my leagues, and then I realized the dude still scores 30 points a week.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to get in replacement for Josh Allen if you're rebuilding? I mean, you go into the draft thinking, all right, I need to get a quarterback where my team is never going to win. Well, you already got your quarterback, and now you can just fill in around them.
And in 1 quarterback, you can win with the waiver wire if you're smart. So it depends upon your fantasy prowess as well. So if you're a person that can play the waiver wire well, heck, just follow whoever's playing the most terrible team in the league. So basically, what the Cardinals this year, or
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a route to go, but I would still rather have Josh Allen than play the waiver wire. That's my like if I was to do a one quarterback route, I would
and
not prefer I would not prefer the waiver wire game when it comes to QB.
what's ironic? I have Josh Allen on both my single quarterback leagues. So I'm set for the next decade.
Maybe.
Rich, you might have heard of this guy, Rich. I don't know. He's been
Uh,
on the show. He's
of
got a
course.
question, and it has to do with between. It's actually him and me. What is the trade value of Chris Olave and I'm assuming he's talking about a Superflex tight end premium PPR league?
Yeah, well, I mean, in that league, I would say the people that you're trading with probably value him a little different because, but
You're talking to
I
me.
mean, I mean,
Between me and him.
if you're looking at Olave right now, and just say you look at this year's draft, I'm probably you're taking the three quarterbacks, the two running backs, and then maybe in Jigba, and then I would take Olave. So I mean, if you're looking at
Oh
this
wow.
year, probably like the 106, I'd be interested because Olave was a monster. I mean, he's already proven. He's good. I'd probably take that proven commodity over some of these younger receivers that it wasn't a great class anyway, right?
Yeah, he calculates right about. I ran it through a couple. He calculates right about the 102, and he's still more valuable than the 102. So
Well, yeah, yeah, but I mean, if you look at it that way in terms of the 102, but if you look at it in terms of who you're drafting with the 102,
well, I put in Gibbs too. So I've looked at it, and it's
so I mean, I would probably draft Gibbs before I would draft, Olave, and I would draft, like I said, the three quarterbacks, and of course Bijan before I would go Olave.
yeah. So yeah, I was sort of in there right above it. 'Cause I think I take in Dynasty. Starting to lean towards the receiver, stretching the receiver a little farther,
Yeah, you
knowing that
can,
it's
but
a decade.
I kind of, but the running backs being rare, the
Ooh,
value for a running back coming out of the draft will be a little higher than a receiver coming out of the
oh yeah,
draft, and then you can flip that running back for more value than what you got for the draft.
yeah. It's
So I mean, that's how I kind of look at it.
the last point there with trading. Something I've been hearing a lot, and I've got to figure out how to convince myself to do it. Is I got to start trading my running backs, being willing to we fall in love with players. And that's sort of the theme of today is guys just can't get rid of. And I'm not talking about I could have written Joe Mixon on this list that we're going to talk about today, but I can't get rid of him because nobody wants him. But guys, we don't want to get rid of. But running backs, a lot of the dynasty people I listen to throughout the podcast community say trade the running back before they get the second contract.
Oh yeah, obviously,
But I
yeah. I
can't
mean,
do it. Why can't we do it? Why don't we do it more?
because um, most people Well, most people don't want to get out from under these running backs the year early before their contract. You can't wait the year after. Like you're in Joe Mixon. If you were to try to get rid of Joe Mixon before last season, not an issue. But you needed Joe Mixon. Now you don't want him. You're trying to get rid of him. Now you're stuck, and you're going to lose. You might as well just keep him at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't want the running back before their second contract, but you've got to be able to risk getting rid of that running back with one good year left, so you're not stuck with him after that contract.
I did it once. I traded away Adrian Peterson the year
That
of
could
the year of his 2,000-yard season.
so I mean
But I won
other
the championship that year.
other than that, I mean pretty much every other. I mean Christian McCaffrey's second contract's really good, but all the other ones are dreadful, and you would have loved to get out from underneath of them before they would have signed it.
Yeah, it sounds sort of stuck. But yeah, so I have another. See, I have one last question that'll be a quick one for you. How do you avoid rookie fever and messing up your teams?
Get rid of your draft picks. I mean, I
No,
mean,
but
this,
I don't have draft picks. When you don't have draft picks, you're like, ooh, I want in, I want in, I want in.
I mean, that's just life, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's with
you want what you can
anything
have.
or anytime you want to do something, you just got to fight the urge. Or, I mean, it's fantasy, it's not real. I mean, you don't even have to fight it. Just go mess your team up. I mean, who cares? You can fix it again, right?
We've seen that happen. Okay, so going into today's key topic here, uh, JJ Wang and I were talking, and he's like, "What about players that you have that you keep on your teams, but you just can't get rid of? There might not be a reason for it. It might be you like him, it might be past performance. So we're going to toss out a handful of players both of us have or like that we just can't get rid of, and maybe we should, or maybe we'll tell the other person, no, 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 keep that guy. The future's bright."
Yeah, so over the last couple of weeks, with the rookie drafts coming in, the influx of talent, you're having to clear out your roster.
Oh, it's painful.
Um, and unfortunately, the guys you have to clear out are the guys from previous year's drafts that you really like and you don't want to get rid of. So that's kind of why I did this. I kind of enjoyed it looking through all these players and all these teams. Like, yeah, I like that guy. I wish I could have him on my team. But then you think, well, if he was on my team, I would just have to drop him for the incoming rookies or somebody else. So I mean, it was fun. I mean, like all these guys that I have, I mean, I like. Well, not there's like two I don't like, but I mean, it was fun to go through all these guys that probably won't be on anybody's roster in the next year or two.
Yeah, I'm sitting there in a bunch of areas going, man, I have it in our one league that we do together, our auction draft. I was like, cool, there's some guys on waivers I want. Crap, there's no guys from my team I can drop. And I'm
Yeah,
three guys over the season starting roster. Who am I going to? I want to pick that guy up. Oh my
it's
God.
hard.
And it's that time of year. And then you know what? Come October, there's six guys on our teams that aren't worth a crap that we're just like, man, I wish I'd dropped that guy.
All those guys that you didn't want to drop are worthless. And like one guy that you should have picked up off the waiver wire ends up being like a starting running back. And you're like, man, I'm an idiot. But I mean, it happens every year. I don't care what you say. I don't care who you are. You could be the hardest person in the world. You've got affection for some of these guys that you just don't want to get rid of.
Yeah. So who's your first guy?
My first guy is probably my all-time favorite fantasy guy. That's James Robinson. Um, Corey,
I,
he came in undrafted. Everybody loved the guy. He was undrafted. Got him cheap. He had the big year, and then he just kind of faded after that. Now he's in New England, stuck behind Ramondre. He's the RB1. Nobody really likes the New England running back situation ever. So I'm thinking James Robinson is definitely one of those candidates. Last year in Jacksonville, he started out strong and this just completely faded away. And now he's stuck here with James Robinson. We got James Robinson, and they're also Pierre Strong. You could throw him in there too. So are both of these guys roster cloggers, or are you holding on?
um, I've got James Robinson, but it's only because I have roster space.
Yeah.
He's a guy that he is a guy that we all love because the story is great. And when they drafted ETN, I remember exactly where I was. I was listening to a podcast, and they're like, "Yeah, they just drafted ETN." I was kayaking. I'm like, I had my headphones on. I'm like, "Oh, come on, man! James Robinson was so good." It's and I mean, I like ETN, but I think it was a terrible pick for the Jaguars for what they were trying to do. He's fine now, but I just think it was a pick that they didn't need, and they'd have been great with James Robinson. But then the Achilles slowed him down, and then they just tossed him to the side. And being in New England just sucks. Ramondre, unless we're all wrong, and he played and we're not paying attention to how he played last year. Are they so dumb to not play Ramondre next year?
Oh no, they're definitely playing
So that
Ramondre.
makes him a total roster clog, right?
I mean, Ramondre is definitely the RB1, but you also got to look at it in terms of NFL. RB1s or RB2s and RB3s aren't necessarily roster cloggers, depending on the running back room. There's only one legit running back in New England. There's got to be one or two more that will be relevant at some point. It's just, will it be like the pass catcher and Pierre Strong? Maybe Kevin Harris, you brought him up. Or will it be James Robinson? Just maybe James Robinson, it just isn't that third down type back, that he'll get a lot of run. And are you ever going to play James Robinson?
He no, he's the one you got to drop. Like if you have this spot, Pierre Strong, I don't think we think he's going to be an all-star, but he could. New England likes to use various backs, and they're not going to give Mac Jones the ball all the time. So it's
Yeah, you need a third down back. I mean, Pierre Strong is the third down back, and Ramondre is
Andre can catch now. Apparently, he learned to catch. Like he didn't catch much in college, and all of a sudden, bled out. He's well-rounded. Yeah, so it's yeah. My guy is all your fault. My first guy, I blame you 100% for this guy.
It's fine.
It's his second year in the league. He didn't do diddly squat last year.
Squad.
You almost had me convinced that I should take him in the first round of the rookie draft last year.
I think I did take him in the first round of a rookie draft last year.
And we're talking about Austin Eckler's fourth, fifth, seventh, eighth string backup running back, Isaiah Spiller, who senior last year in Texas A&M had over 1,000 yards in SEC coming in. We're like, this is a great situation. Eckler's on his last leg, and then all Eckler does is just put up continued monster numbers. Then off season, where Eckler's looking for trades. Oh no, let's go back in season last year. Spiller even dropped. They were playing those
Josh
other
Kelly.
Josh Kelly, who we thought was washed,
He
over,
looked really good, by the way. He looked pretty good, by the way.
and he did. But and he did. So did Spiller make people mad? And then we're like, off season, okay, Eckler's looking for a trade. Cool. Then they just renegotiated Eckler's they gave him those incentives. So Eckler's there all this year. Isaiah Spiller's going into year 2. I think he touched the ball just about 3 or 4 more times than we did last year, but he's still fresh legs, SEC running back, second year running back. Do I gotta drop him?
I don't know. I mean, so I've pretty much got Spiller in every league that I'm in. So honestly, I have dropped him in a couple leagues, just to make room for players that I don't have in certain leagues. So I mean, he is droppable, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's a high-powered offense. Austin Eckler is a high usage running back. I mean, injuries do happen. They do have Josh Kelly, who played really well last year. You're one of those running backs have to be rostered. It's just whichever one you prefer. But I do think one of the backup running backs in San Diego or Los Angeles has to be rostered. And at this point,
Joshua Kelly, right?
a majority of my leagues, I would still roster Spiller, but I would not harp on anybody that wants to give up on him.
So he's into the bench. Like he
Absolutely.
roster spot. He's there right now, but
yeah, I mean, like I said, I've dropped him in a couple leagues. I mean, it's not. I mean, it happens.
yeah. Okay.
Right. So my next guy, I got 2 guys here on the same team. Both of them young wide receivers. And I'm going to go down here to Carolina with the brand new quarterback in Bryce Young. I'm going to go wide receivers Terrace Marshall and Laviska Shenault. Laviska Shenault, just 24 years old. Everybody loved him coming out of Colorado. Played with Jacksonville. His first season was okay. Second was bad. Then last year, I mean, he had a stint here. At least you could see him playing last year. And then Terrace Marshall didn't really do much last year. Nobody on that offense has really done it. Neither one of these running receivers have really done anything. But they're going to need a receiver to step up. They really don't have anybody. They lack offensive weapons all over the place. So are you holding on to these guys, or are they roster cloggers?
I actually traded away Terrence Marshall. Do I have any more shares? I'm not sure. I traded away one of my Terrence Marshall shares with the third to move up and get Josh Downs in one of my recent drafts. Like, Terrence Marshall's that LSU pedigree. You're like, dude, he played with Jefferson. Terrence Marshall's got to be good. He's got to be. And he's had terrible quarterbacks. I mean, he had Sam Darnold, J.J. Wang's favorite quarterback. He's had
that guy.
Garbage. And there are Terrence Marshall truthers out there. Of the two, if you had to keep one, it would be Marshall. Laviska Shenault, you can throw him to waivers and probably pick him up in 3 months because he's probably not going to do anything. He's there because you got Chark in there. You got Mingo, who's the guy they drafted. They signed Chark. So these are guys that were they're not Frank Reich's guys. So
they got Thielen too. They brought in Thielen.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, right now, Thielen is going to be their one.
That is dreadful. That is so bad.
And I'm more into it than you are. I don't think he's going to be a superstar.
I don't know why you're into it at all. I don't get it.
A young quarterback likes tight ends and veteran receivers that know what they're doing. They don't have to teach me.
Well, yeah, he knows what he's doing, but he wasn't doing very much when he had Justin Jefferson opposite him last year. So
that's because Kirk Cousins had laser vision. But
yeah, I don't think so.
But Marshall, if you have the deep rosters, that's rostering. Visca, see you later, dude.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. But I still like Laviska just because.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is my just because here. My favorite player last year's draft, and I got him almost everywhere, is Justin Ross.
Hey, you like him because of me too.
Yeah. I think we both hit him about the same time, and then but he is basically living off of his freshman year at Clemson when he had 1,000 yards.
He should be able to.
Freshman and his sophomore year was good. Then he had that dreadful injury, which scared everybody. It was a spine neck thing, and He's 6'4", 205, big dude. He's in a stellar offense. I mean, he's a guy I just wanted to say his name. Like you can't drop him, I don't think, based upon the news coming out of KC, but he's done diddly squat. So if your team is stacked, there might be some numbskull, probably like me or you, that will trade for him. But he's almost based upon doing nothing. And that fear, like the reason some people are swaying away from Tua because of his noggin. Justin Ross is one, back neck splat from setting it. Like the fear is like he's gonna be paralyzed or something. Like people are scared. KC went through and did their diligence, but he could be a monster.
Yeah, I mean, people are scared, but I mean, they're not scared enough to not put him out there on the field. Pat Mahomes really likes him. Evidently, Trey Lance really likes him too. They were all thrown together. Yeah, Trey Lance, go buddy.
Who's that?
But yeah, what's his name? Pat Mahomes really likes him. He looks good. Big dude, big target. Most likely the biggest receiver that they have. I know Scanling's pretty big dude, but he's not very good.
Put him on this list.
Justin Ross is probably he's roster clogger. But yeah, I mean, if I got Justin Ross on my team, I'm going to hold him just for the lottery ticket that is the Kansas City offense.
Yeah, that's where I'm rolling as well. Like I got him a couple places. No, and people are asking for him too. So it's not.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
still isn't. You could play that ticket or not. It's a ticket right now.
It's amazing what a YouTube video will do with these guys in shorts, man. I mean, you got there looking all big and strong, catching passes. I mean, like, why can't he do that in an NFL game, right?
Sam Laporta, what's going to happen, dude?
Yeah, you never know. All right, so my guys, I got another. So running back was by far the easiest to do this with. I mean, you just look at it, just running backs just all over the place. So I'm gonna go to running back. I'm gonna go to up Cleveland. So we know the RB1, Nick Chubb, 100%. RB2 last year, Kareem Hunt is gone. So what we got here is Jerome Ford. Big time college guy. Played really well at Cincinnati with Desmond Ridder. Played really well. Went to Alabama. Couldn't get on the field with Alabama. Understandably, Damian Harris, Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris. It's hard to play with those guys. So he goes to Cincinnati, kills it. Now I think he's in an ideal situation. He's RB2 on a run-heavy offense. They like to run the ball. Nick Chubb has not been, that workhorse running back in his whole career that we've wanted him to be. So Jerome Ford is definitely a roster guy, right?
Oh yeah, I just looked him up. I forgot how good he was. 19.
Yeah, killed it, man.
Holy moly!
Yeah, so I know he wasn't a roster clogger. I know that, but I wanted to bring him up just so people can remember that this guy should be on your team and be ready to fill in at a second's notice.
He was a roster clogger on my team last year. So I don't have him anymore because I drafted him for $1 in an auction league, and I'm like, man, I got to drop someone. And the fourth string running back, and I was right. I mean, he got 22 carries, something ridiculous.
Yeah, because I think Dearness Johnson, I don't think is there anymore.
No, he's in Jacksonville. Yeah. I think. Yes, I mean it's the Jerome Ford show, or they're gonna just run the wheels off of Chubb one more just to get everything they can out of Chubb this year, or they'll do something stupid like bring back dead Kareem Hunt, which
I mean that's
I'm on the Jerome Ford camp. So
absolutely, but like I said, they haven't given Chubb like that workhorse role at any point in his career. I can't imagine them just switching it up now.
I mean, Chubb only ran for 1,500 yards last year, so and Kareem Hunt was terrible. So he almost was a workhorse because of how bad Hunt was. So if Jerome Ford can even do anything, I think minimizing Chubb's usage is probably better. Like with a lot of running backs, if you don't get them hit as much, you probably get more out of them.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna go with one more. I got one more old guy. I think we're about that time. This is an old guy. You can't trade him. I got him off waivers. I literally picked him up off waivers last week. Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson is probably one of my least favorite football players in the history of fantasy sports. The other year when he had that monster game for Jacksonville, he knocked me out of the playoffs with a stud team. And I'm talking the other year, 2015. He had that really good year with Jacksonville, knocked me out of the playoffs. And then I came back the next year and picked him up. and he was garbage, and then he tore his ACL. Then he went to Chicago, and he was pretty good. And then I traded for him, and then he was poo. And then he went to the Rams, and he was poo. And now he's basically an extra piece in Pittsburgh on a team that has Deontay Johnson, the one, George Pickens, I like, but I'm fearing I'm getting some of this Odell Beckham kind of vibes out of George Pickens that I don't want to get because I mean, really, he had a decent year, but he's known for that like super pretty catches. Is Allen Robinson a roster clog or a sneaky wide receiver 3 on an improved Pittsburgh team?
I would
I
go
mean, wide receiver
roster.
3, we're not talking for a lot there. We're talking he'll be the big guy that gets a couple
You're
touchdowns,
Yeah,
700.
but you're also talking a wide receiver 3 on an offense that may not throw it a whole lot, right? So you got Deontay Johnson getting like 140 targets because that's just what Deontay Johnson does.
Yeah.
Then you got George Pickens coming into his second year, most likely getting more targets. Pat Fryermuth, still a top tight end. Kenny Pickett's going to love this guy. You got Najee Harris catching passes out of the backfield. I mean, you're probably talking about fifth, sixth receiving option on that team, on a team that's
That's true.
probably not going to throw it a whole lot unless they just open it up with Kenny Pickett. So I'd say Allen Robinson, based on his injury history, I say roster clogger.
Yeah, I picked him up. I had the space, so it's a sad one.
But
Yeah,
like, he's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that you like, and you're like, yeah, I like this guy. I'm gonna put him on my team.
we have a love-hate relationship. Any
Right.
quick hits as we close out?
Oh, I got all kinds of. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go down to Atlanta. The guy that's been a fantasy asset the last 2 years, just randomly out of the blue, because the previous 7 he was no good. That's Cordero Patterson. 2 years ago, Cordero Patterson came in, killed it. RB1. And then last year they brought in Algier. He was still okay. Now they bring in Bijan. Cordero's 32. They lack receiving options in Atlanta, so he could still hang on there. Cordero Patterson, roster clogger or no?
Oh, he's cut. Done. Not even not
Cut.
e- not even a thought for me. He's the third running back. I would rather have Mac Hollins than Cordero Patterson.
Oh
Just-
God.
yeah, like I just think Cordero. I mean, he had that run. He was awesome. You hit him. You hit him right at the right spot on here. I remember talking about him a lot as you hit him. And my last guy here is KJ Osborne. He's going to be a quandary for a lot of teams because of the Addison signing. I mean, he was never going to be the wide receiver 1. I'm mad at him because he cost me a championship. Going to a championship game, I would have won last year because I played him.
That's not
I
his
got
fault. That's
cute.
your fault.
No, he was playing really good. Then he decided to die. So, but Addison came into town. There are some people who still think that KJ Osborne could be an asset. Is he a roster clogger or is he that guy you gotta keep because who knows? Addison could suck.
I'd say one more year. I say you give him one more year. I think he still stay. Don't get me. He's at. I say he's at the top of the roster clogger list.
Hmm.
So he's at that point. If you need a spot, okay, yeah, you got to drop him. But I think he's probably worth holding on for one more year, not even a whole year, maybe a half a year, just to see how he is in the offense. Because
He's
sometimes receivers take a little longer to come along. And KJ Osborne was starting to show some things last year. I think he was a wide receiver 3, low end wide receiver 3 last year. So I mean, there was something starting, but this Addison thing really hurts him a lot.
the dude's consistent 655, 650 yards in his
Yeah.
last 2 years.
He's been really. I mean, he's been good. I was hoping maybe he'd get that number 2 spot, but just
Yeah,
didn't
it's
happen.
drafting Addison. So okay, JJ Wang, let's go and enjoy a week. Get ready for another exciting week of work, but a 4-day work week can't beat
What they
that.
work with. Yeah, can't beat that. So I want to start this off by saying this is not football related in any such means. I want to start this off by saying I have never been a fast runner by any stretch of the means. I hate running. Never been a good runner. Never. But I always thought that I would always be able to outrun my daughter.
Oh
You know,
no.
so of course my daughter's a soccer player. She's really good. I'm her dad, so I'm going to be biased. But I think she's really good. She has gotten since she played her first year JV soccer this year. She has gotten so fast. So I was like, yeah, we can race. So it was only like 50 yards maybe down and back. We took off. I knew within 3 steps I was not catching this girl. It was just like I've come to the point where I cannot beat a 13-year-old girl. I mean, I'm happy, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm kind of sad.
You mean old,
So,
old. You mean old.
oh yeah, I'm kind of old too. So I'm not gonna be able to trust myself anymore, but I'm gonna have to. So as always, trust yourself and trust the process.